Wait, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and non-listeners. Leo nayo kumewaka moto. Leo kumewaka moto. Let me tell you, I do not know how. I do not know. I do not know how this world functions. Honestly, I do not know. Because sasa mimi, jamani. Anyway. Welcome to another episode of the Cordial Podcast. Ukiwa na mimi wako misi wako bana. I'm not yours. Anyway, with your host, of course, Kang'ong'oi, and I'm back again, not late, for another episode to be uploaded. I'm really happy for that I found time and space to record this episode because hii wiki nayo imekuwa mbio bana. Just a few minutes ago I had my first incident at the place I work at. So I was serving some members and something happened and I was like, I'm glad I acted appropriately, because in between, of course, I had prepared to have the conversation of today. Like the topic of today, it was there, and it is actually funny because ikitu may happen coincidentally. So the topic of today was supposed to be triggers. Just generally, what are triggers? How do you even know your triggers? So mi sasa nilikuwa nakaa chini na note down, and I'm like, triggers are these, what example I'm going to give, and then boom, this thing happens today, like 30 minutes ago. So I've just taken my lunch and nime cool down kidogo. Mtu karibu nikule kichwa bana. But anyway, since we're talking about triggers, I've had these conversations happen elsewhere, like listening to other people talk about triggers and what they associate with, and when people talk about self-reflection, being self-aware, all these things, knowing your flaws and all these things of becoming better. This name triggers always jumps into such conversations every single time. It always jumps in. You hear somebody, you must recognize your triggers, you must know your triggers, you must know how they work. And so seated there, thinking about, so what are these triggers? And first, of course, you have to know what kind of situation is being brought about, so that you might consider something a trigger. And if I can give an example, it's like when you know how things should work in a relationship. Like you have this general idea of how conducive a relationship should be like. And I'm sorry for using a relationship as the first example, but anyway, we are there already. So so and then in between you having a relationship with somebody and then they do a certain act or they shout at you. Acha tuseme you shout. Jo. Anyway, they shout at you and you remember probably a traumatic childhood that you had where ulikuwa unashinda ukishautiwa, and it takes you back to such moments and you of course feel bad. You of course feel like the world is crumbling down because that was a traumatic experience. You do not want to remember such negative thoughts or negative times that happened in your life. So this other person now shouting triggers you, like it sets ablaze or brings back memories or brings back that feeling that you had. And of course it's always bad. Sorry, inakwanga tu mbaya, kwanza you're shouting, mi hurumia watu. Anyway, because personally I've been told I shout at people and then mimi nikijiangalia I'm like, I just have a loud voice, But then I had to also sit down and analyze, like, is that loud voice acting in my favor, or it is actually ruining relationships. But that's another story for another day, and I don't want to overshare things right now. So when you think about triggers in that way, and you've had all these memories, right now whoever is listening, I'm sure you've had these topics before. So you've had those deep things, not deep things, jamani kizungu. So you've had those deep thinking, times where you just sit down and analyze how your life has been from your childhood, growing up, teenager. If you're still in teenage, you're still thinking about it. If you're above 20, you're still thinking about how your 20s will be like, how your teenage life was. And of course, you've recognized there are things that actually you need to work on, and the things that set you in a bad mood, actually, in a really, really bad mood. So all these things. Umeiona kwa akili, you've envisioned it, you've seen it, you've experienced it time and time again. So triggers are really bad things, and people say you should recognize them. People say you should recognize them and then learn how to handle the situation. And I'm like, we ngojeni kwanza. Unajua venye hii kitu inakuanga ngumu. Ati your triggers, and then now you act better. You become better. You become self-aware. I am laughing because I have been in that process where there are certain situations where I've recognized this is a trigger. Like if somebody changes we're having a conversation with somebody, and then they look at me in a certain way, I know that I have seen something and it is going to bring up something. And I love it because now my mind works in a way that you've already known what that trigger is, and it is the first thing that jumps into our mind, like, that is a trigger that will take you to this place. So instead of me reacting as I would react before knowing that this is a trigger that will bring up a really bad situation, it is a kind of a warning shot where now I have to just be calm and just see it as a trigger, and then react in a better way, or react in a way that will not ruin the situation that you're in at that point, or ruin the conversation that you're having with that person at that point. And so it is always a good feeling after the situation where you've seen how calmness can act out, and how you can save many situations by being just calm and collected, and knowing the kind of triggers that you have and the situations that you really loathe in your life, And I think that's one of the major things that comes with growing up, honestly. Mambo na kuwa self-aware, but with growing up, where you realize life is so much beautiful when you can actually see yourself in that growth period, where you can sit down and say, yo Mungai, I have seen you moving from this place to this place, even without other people validating you, even without other people telling you, hey, you've changed. No, it is you seeing that growth by yourself, and in how you handle situations, and in how you recognize the triggers that you get you, and in how you just appreciate all these situations that you bring in your life, that are always from a positive side of life. And so let me now go to the story that I was about to give. So I don't know if I mentioned this last episode, but I was given some new roles to do, and most of it was more of customer care service, because at my workplace there was something that was needed to be done, and it was all members who are coming in to the organization had to be registered for something. Sasa ndio mimi huyu watu wako overshare. But anyway, so you can see the kind of numbers that I was dealing with to just come in. You have to have conversation with them. And when I was given that role at first, I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, yo, I had done my attachment at a place where I was serving like probably 300 people per day, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot on how to handle myself kwanza and how I react to things. And so I was like, yo, I'm grateful. Like, I have past experience in handling customer care service, and it really taught me a lot about life and how I should handle myself personally. And it was also another growth stage that I had. And so it was so great. I was so happy in taking up this new role because I knew, these people will actually see that they didn't make a mistake in putting me there, So I was really happy. But yeah, and I'm still happy because I've just realized I love customer service. I just love it. Hata kama saa zingine ni kufake smile, all these things, I still love it because I just want to see the other person at the other end be, just calm, just be happy. However much most of the people you meet just come with their own issues, and there are people who just can't understand that both of you are needed for that situation to work out well. You just move on, man. You just know how to carry yourself and how to handle things. So this week has been good. Ever since I started doing that role, it has been good. I have loved it, and I still love it. But anyway, in between the week, something was just telling me, man, there is something that will happen. Sijui ni lini, akili inakwambianga sijui ni lini, lakini kuna kitu inafanyika. Well, ladies and gentlemen, imefanyika leo. So this particular lady comes in, and I'm like, okay, nakaa age mate yangu. You know how those thoughts come in. Nakaa age mate yangu sawa. So I'm like, yeah. So I, of course, talk in the most professional way, but also show a smile, vitu kama hizo, just be gentle. And it's a lady, so you have to be manly. Mimi nikafikiria mimi niko fit, smile nini. Mtu tumemserve. Akaanza kujamba. Sijui I don't like it. I don't feel it. Sijui nini. Mimi namwambia cheki. The thing that you came up with, the thing that brought you in, and you considered it a complaint, wasn't even worthy of a complaint because everything was just fine. Now we changed it for you, and you're still saying that it is wrong, and it is something that doesn't even make sense. Like, unaanza kutuambia but it doesn't, at you don't feel it. Mimi nikashindwa rada huyu ni gani. Mimi nikamwambia look, even before I told her that, in between I was trying to have conversations. I always try to have conversations with people I'm trying to serve, just to see where the headspace is at, because there are people who come in na wako na story, wanapiga tu story vizuri, they are free. So I was trying to see if this lady is free as well, just having conversation. And she was free a bit, and she was like, I saw you guys extended this thing, so I'm coming to do it again. And me with my intelligence, kijana ni intelligent. I asked her one question. So you're coming in because we are extended. So if we extended until the end of the year, you'll come back again and do it again just because you feel like doing it again. And then she was like, yeah, it's your work, so you should will be coming in, different wigs, angasijui, different lipstick. Me, I'm like, hey, I noted that at the back of my hand. So now, fast forward again. So I tell her, you said you were just coming in just because this thing was extended. So that means you will do it again now. You will disturb us again next week, and then you will come back again every single time you feel like you want this thing to be changed. Sasa si hapo sasa mimi jua kuchapia mtu reality story kapanda. Mimi nikamwambia mimi I'm not doing it again. I am sorry, like in the most professional way. Achana na hii sauti natumia kwa podcast juu sasa hii ina sound ya madharau. But I just told her I don't think we are going to do it because clearly we are not moving ahead, and this thing is not as serious as you're trying to make it. Wacha msichana jam akaenda mbele, kapigia sijui supervisor, Professor ananiambia we mpige tu picha ingine. So I was seated with another colleague, so I told him, bro, we chukua juu sasa mi sijui venye kutaendelea. So this guy decided to do it again for the lady, this process. You know what happened? Acha sasa niwachekeshe. Unajua nini ilifanyika? She complained again. Yeah, that she's not feeling it at all. Nikashindwa this is now turning to be a really funny situation. So I started laughing and I was like, what exactly do you want? What exactly do you want? Because now it looks like you're literally not respecting our space, of course, and the other people we're supposed to serve, and you're still saying you're not feeling this thing. Just a feeling nini jamani wadau? Tangulini ati I'm not feeling this way. So I told her, we are really not understanding what exactly you want, because in everything that you do you find a mistake. You're looking for a mistake, and you're looking for a mistake every single time. So I don't know. And then she was like, okay, I'll just come back later because I don't want to stress you guys out. And I was like, mi karibu nicheke nimuulize unafikiri una stress nani sasa wewe? Because unajua sasa hapo ndo mimi inanichekesha juu it makes me kick in that ego that I have na ni kitu nataka kutoroka. Hiyo hata ni story for another day. But it just kicks in my ego, where now I show you, please, you have to respect us. Tafadhali, you have to respect us. And all this while, when I was having these conversations, I was having some triggers of like putting up emotional, what do you call it? Facial expressions that weren't good for customer service. But my head was still ringing at the back of my mind, be professional, and I was all through, even when I was now getting irritated. I was like, now you're overdoing things. And I tried as much as possible just to be as professional as possible, and I think that's why she left. She decided to leave. She decided to leave because I don't think she would have escalated the issue now to the top management, because if they did, angeshtuka sana. I have been nimekuwa nikingoja siku. I was prepared. When I was saying that I was happy that I was taking this role, these are the type of things that I sit down and I actually think about. When somebody comes in and there's an issue and it is because of you, and they take you to the top management, how will you act? These are all things that I wrote down, and I was like, this is how I'm going to act, and this is how I'm going to do this, and this. So I was really ready for it. I was like, you're going to take us to the top management? Bas, I've been prepared. Niko prepared vibaya sana. But anyway, so that was the situation, and as you can see, there was a lot of triggers there for me to act in an unprofessional way first, and then also to just act out and not be calm, which would have really gone badly considering my position in this place. But I'm happy that went that way. I'm just happy, man. Hata sahi ukiniona na smile tu nacheka juu I'm proud of myself. But anyway, we were talking about triggers. So you see, in such situations, I love how you get to learn and appreciate how your mind works and how you are really in control of your mind. You're really in control. It is hard to take like full control of it, because it is a whole process that takes years and years and years of crafting and all these things and changing, learning, relearning things. But at the end of the day, it is you telling your mind, I'm in charge here, and I actually have the full authority to work out how my life wants, how I want my life to work out. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, when you're listening to this, when you're in your daily routines and daily life, when you're interacting with people, always listen. listen to that still voice that is behind you. Listen to it, because it knows what exactly you need to do in that particular situation. For me, that still voice is always God. For you, I don't know who you'll attribute that to. Sijui mtaita self-consciousness ama ni sijui ni nini. Mwingine ataita subconscious. But at the end of the day, just listen to it. Listen to it, because that is like the manual you need for your life. It is hard sometimes because we ignore that voice. But once you start listening to it and acting accordingly, your life will start flowing. Flowing without any problems as much. Well, problems lazima zikuwe kwa maisha, but that's how life works out at the end. So this is me telling you that sit down, know your triggers, write them down if you're able to write. Me this year, by the way, nimekuwa mtu tu kuambia tu watu write everything down. So if you know of your triggers that take you to this kind of place, write them down. If you're that kind of person who listens to TikTok videos, and then these videos come up and they're explaining about how triggers work, or all these things that give you some type of conviction, write them down, because it is at that such moments that you realize the things you need to work on and your flaws. So writing them down helps you first, of course, accept that you have that issue, and then you accepting that you need to work on them, and then now the process of working on them starts or begins. And that's how we will get better as a community, because that's the end goal of all this ranting that we have hapa. So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of another episode of the Cordial Podcast, manze, na tunakaribia 40 to wewe. So please share this episode to your friends if you feel like this personal rants of Mungai are helpful, or they just cover your day, and just be happy, man. Strive to be happy. Kwani iko nini? Anyway, see you next time. It has been a pleasure. Share this episode. Wewe alafu katae kushare. Nitakupata. Bye guys.